Hi, good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration questions. So if you have an immigration question, now is the time to join me live and put your questions in the comments, because that's exactly why I'm here. I'm here to answer your U.S. immigration questions. Yes, on a Sunday night. I am here 7 days a week. And so I am here, as I was here yesterday, and I will be here tomorrow. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments right now. Don't hesitate. Just put that question in. There's no such thing as a dumb question. There's no such thing as a question that's too simple. I want to hear all your immigration questions. And if you do require further legal advice, I'll definitely let you know. Hi there, Jay. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining in, and thanks for saying good evening. You can feel free to put your questions in at any time. I am going to talk about a topic today, and so I am going to talk about how to apply for the green card on your own even after divorce. Because a lot of people don't realize that they can actually apply for the green card based on their divorce from a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, if that legal permanent resident or a U.S. citizen mistreated them or subjected them to extreme cruelty. I got my 2-year green card less than a month. My spouse wants to file for divorce. So Nirvani, now I don't know what the specific circumstances in your case are, but if you do get a divorce, what you'll need to do. So there are ways to apply to renew your 2-year green card to a 10-year green card when that time comes. And if your spouse wants to divorce you, then you should really evaluate your options. Now, if you get divorced, so before you renew the 2-year green card, even while you're renewing it, if you're in the middle of a divorce, what will happen is that if your divorce is still pending, the immigration service will give you more time to provide the divorce decree by sending you a request for evidence. But at the same time, what you're going to have to show is that you had a good bona fide marriage, a real marriage, despite the fact that it didn't work out. You know, everybody understands that it's never guaranteed for a marriage to work out, but what they want to see is that this was a real marriage. You intended for this to work out and it just didn't work out, in addition to a divorce decree. If you have those two pieces of evidence, the divorce decree, as well as proof that this was a bona fide marriage, then you could very well qualify for the waiver of the joint filing. That means that they would not require you to file with a spouse. So if my dad was sent home 15 years ago, can I file for him? He had no felony charges. Teacher Steve, 37, that could be a possibility. However, keep in mind that it really depends on what the circumstances are. There are no felony charges, but in order to advise you specifically, I would have to hear what the basis of the for example, if suppose he was charged with misrepresentation, the basis of the deportation would tell me basically how to resolve the problem, whether there are any options. Teacher Steve, get legal advice, because this can be a complex area of law, and it requires in-depth evaluation. However, there may be a waiver available for him to come back to the United States after you file for him. How long after receiving your 10-year green card through marriage can you file for citizenship? So if you received your 10-year green card through a U.S. citizen spouse and you maintain that marriage to that spouse for 3 years, then you could apply for citizenship at 3 years. If you received it through any other means, it would likely be 5 years. The military could be 1 year. But any other way, through an employer, through other family members like a parent or as a child, it's going to be 5 years. Adonix, thanks for following. Can someone from Venezuela turn themselves in at the border and get TPS? So TPS is for individuals who are already in the United States. But keep in mind that if there is a situation where you are at the border and you're seeking asylum, that could possibly be a path. But once you are, it's not for anybody to travel into the United States to get. It's just for those who are already here. Teacher Steve, 37. Okay, how soon after migrating do you get green card and SSN? So it depends. Shalamar 876 laws. It really depends. It depends on how you are coming to the United States. Is it marriage based? Is it through any other type of family members? Is it through an employer? Then I would be able to give you an idea of the time frame. I just got my 2-year green card. How long after will my 11-year-old be approved in Jamaica? I don't know. It really depends on where you are in the process. What happened? Did they file separately? Did you file separately for your 11-year-old? Did your spouse, who is your spouse a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident? And so there are different factors here that would determine how long that would take. Usually from beginning to the end, when you file for a child, you could expect, could be as little as 9 months if it's a U.S. citizen applying for their child. If it's a U.S. permanent resident, it could be 2 years. But keep in mind, could be more or less. Those are averages. How long does an I-130 take for an LPR child under 21 to be approved? So you're looking, right now they're taking a little over a year. It could range from 9 months to a little over a year to be approved. So Shalamar 876, so marriage. If it's marriage, you're looking, it could be as little as 9 months. It could be as long as 2 years. I'm too blessed, Spencer. How long after marriage can my husband start filing for me? Right away. You don't have to wait. What's important here is to make sure you submit the right evidence to show that the marriage is real, that you've had a real relationship with your husband. No, I didn't. My spouse was born here and we filed when I was filed for. I didn't file for him separately. So call me if your spouse is a U.S. citizen, then you have to file for your child separately. You cannot, as the spouse of a U.S. citizen, you're not permitted to bring over your dependents. Your spouse would have to file for the stepchild separately. Now your child is 11, so obviously you got married before he turned 18, which would qualify him, and as long as he's under 21, he would qualify as an immediate relative of your U.S. citizen spouse. So in this case, you would have to file for him. So I don't know, but you said I didn't file for him separately, so that's telling me that there's not a separate application. If a person receives his working authorization 2 months ago and he was invited for a green card, what will that person do? So I'm invited for a green card interview. So usually if you receive your work authorization and now it's time for you to attend the interview, then you would go to the interview. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what you're concerned about. But if, if you would like further legal advice about what your particular circumstances are, now this is how it works, is that you get the work authorization, and then usually afterwards you get an interview notice, and you would definitely have to go to the interview if you would like to keep going on further and get that green card. My friend's husband has overstayed in the USA and she's a green card holder. Can she file for him? So this is more complex, JK, but what will happen is that if she overstayed, she wouldn't qualify for adjustment of status, generally speaking. I don't know what her particular circumstances are. But if he is going to file for her, she will have to complete the green card process in her home country. Now, if she overstayed over 180 days, she'll have to apply for what's called an unlawful presence waiver. And if it's approved, she can leave the country and go to the interview. The reason being, without getting a waiver approved, if she leaves the country and she overstayed over 180 days, then she'll be barred, inadmissible, no green card, no visa, no entry into the US for a minimum of 3 years. If she overstayed over a year, that's 10-year bar, automatic. So it's very important to look into this waiver process. JK, I can't stress enough, they need to get legal advice. Because if she leaves the country, she'll face a bar. So she needs to make sure she looks at her different options. So for example, some green card holder spouses, if it's the right time, they can turn into a US citizen. And then once they become a US citizen, as the spouse of a US citizen who enter the country with a visa, she'll be able to adjust status in the United States. Basically, that means she would be able to apply for the green card while being in the United States. However, as long as the spouse stays a green card holder, then they have to look at that waiver process. So they need to get legal advice to make sure that they're approaching their situation, they're not making any mistakes, and they're qualifying for anything they're applying for. How many times can you travel on your travel documents to your home country? So this is not something that I would say you should be traveling routinely on, and usually it's reserved for situations where you have to leave the country. So I would not be I don't encourage my clients to just have the travel document to travel back and forth whenever they like. If someone goes in New York to get married to a U.S. citizen, how long she wait to marry in the U.S.? Now, there is no time period to wait to get married. It really depends on what the particular circumstances are involved. And so what you can do is let your friend contact me, schedule a consultation. We can talk about their circumstances and how maybe their timeline can fit into their journey to, getting married and getting the green card. But there is nothing that says they have to get married within a year. They have to get married. They can get married at any time. But one thing is, once you enter the country, if you enter to get married, you just can't at the time. Enter to get married is one thing. But entering the country to stay could spell trouble at the interview. So you have to be careful with that part. But you have the right to get married anywhere you want. My husband abandoned me after 2 months arriving in the USA and had another woman pregnant. So Anne Felix 37, if that's the case and you are without your papers, there is a way to apply on your own, especially if under these circumstances your husband subjected you to extreme cruelty, emotional abuse, and mistreatment. It sounds like that could very well be the issue here, but I would like to speak with you more to see if I can help you to apply. What you can do is call 561-405-4889, schedule a consultation, and we can do an in-depth evaluation to confirm you qualify. But what would happen is once you apply for this, if the spouse was a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident, you apply for this, you would be able to apply for a work permit and then work on the work permit, stay in the United States until you have your green card interview. Do you assist people in getting a work visa? So Amar Deep, yes, I do. But there's so many types of work visas that it really depends on what your qualifications are, what are the needs of your employer. Then I can help you determine your options. So a consultation would definitely be required. I know, but just in case of any emergency, can I travel more than once? So the Nikki Bless 39, I can't give you specific advice. I don't know your situation. I'm not your attorney. So I would not be able to tell you how many times you can travel. I don't even know what the emergency is. But I know generally with my clients, it is there for emergencies, but I can't advise you based on what your circumstances are. It really depends. I applied for an extension for my stepson due to Trinidad still on lockdown. We have not heard. So usually when you apply, Son Grace Love, when you apply for an extension for the stepson to stay in the United States, even though you haven't heard anything, it's very important for you to know that there is still a limit of 240 days to stay on that extension, even if they don't reply. So you have to be careful not to spend over 240 days in the country just because you didn't hear from the USCIS and you didn't get a decision. Because then once you go over that, then you risk overstaying and causing more complications in your case. So keep that in mind. It's not unlimited. So filing for an extension and waiting for them to reply is not going to give you an unlimited amount of time to stay in the United States. You have a maximum of 240 days if they don't reply, which that has been happening a lot because so many people have been, because of COVID, the backlog, and some people have applied and they are just getting the biometrics appointment after a year. But keep in mind that you don't have the authority to stay for an unlimited amount of time just because they didn't reply. Good evening. Just saw your clip on investor visa. Can you speak to this on persons living in Trinidad? So yes, this is the E2 treaty investor visa, and this is for individuals who you're either working for a business in Trinidad or a Trinidadian business, and you'll be taking on a supervisor role or an essential role in running the business in the United States, or you are the business owner, or you're seeking to expand your business or start a business in the United States. The main thing that you have to show here is that you have a substantial investment that you have or are currently investing in the U.S. company. And that could be showing that you've started the company, leased property to run the company, hired individuals, signed contracts, taken debt out to run a company in the United States. You also have to show that it is necessary for you to be in the United States to actively run that business. The person wanted to stay in NY because she have a U.S. citizen child. So Sexy Annie, let me see. I don't think I saw the rest of it. I know, but just in case any emergencies, can I travel more than once? I answered that. I applied for an extension. Okay, so good evening. Just saw your clip. Anything yet? So Son Grace yet? Anything yet? Will he have to return once the country open back up, or he should stay here because his father... So, Son Grace Love, this is a more complex situation, and I wouldn't be able to provide you specific advice unless I speak with you in a consultation, because if he overstayed, filed for an extension, I would need to know the timeline. Usually, you cannot stay. Generally speaking, you would not have, just filing an extension alone is not going to enable anybody on a visitor's visa to stay for an unlimited period of time. So, keep that in mind. And it depends now whether he can stay here. An extension is not going to allow him to stay here unless he can qualify for adjustment of status. So if he's under 21, he's unmarried, and he is the son of a U.S. citizen, then there may be a way for him to stay and adjust status in the United States. However, it depends on his age, his marital status, and so forth. Schedule a consultation. Now you can call 561-405-4889 to schedule a consultation. You can go to the link in my bio where you will find the website and find the contact information where you can fill out a contact form or call to be able to schedule a consultation. These are really important questions. It's also very important for you to get legal advice in your particular case because these can be complicated. Amanda Black 202, what right does a mother have if the dad files to leave with kids, please? So that is going to be a family law issue and not an immigration issue. Tasha, do you think I can apply for U.S. visa even though my dad petitioned for me? So you don't have any limitations to apply for the U.S. visa. However, keep in mind that if your dad petitioned for you, it is going to show that you do have some intent to live in the United States, and that may go against you. You have to show strong evidence to show that despite the petition for the green card, you still have such strong ties to your home country that you will return after a temporary visit. So while nothing can stop you, it can definitely go against you. Continued wanting to possibly leave here and see if provisions allow for that. Hey, just wanted to say, oh, thank you so much, African Queen. You made my day. J. Dinell, you're welcome. He's under 21, unmarried, father's a legal permanent resident. So son Grace Love, if he is a father's a legal permanent resident, then he would not qualify for adjustment of status. If he's no, and that once again, that's going to get more complicated. Now, one loophole here is that when a child is under 18, if they can complete the process before they turn 18, they could be able to leave the country without a waiver and attend the interview and not have the unlawful presence held against them. But they won't qualify to apply for the green card while in the United States unless that father turns into a U.S. citizen. One of my friends wanted to find an S5 visa. How long does that process take, and do you know that? So no, what you can do is to figure out the processing times, you can either visit the embassy's website or the USCIS and put in processing times. I am in Maryland. I got married to a Jamaican. She lives in Jamaica. How would the filing process? How long is the filing process? So you could be looking at 18-month to 24-month process right now. Keep in mind that could always change. I've seen 9-month processes, and then I've seen it go as long as 24 months. What I can tell you is the preparation of the application is essential, because that's what sets the tone for the rest of the application process. When you've gathered all the necessary evidence, it usually provides a smoother process and can even go faster because the officer has all they need to make a decision. However, if you submit an application that's incomplete, or it doesn't have the right evidence, or it doesn't have convincing evidence, then the officer can send back for a request for evidence or put it in extended review, which can lead to longer processing times. I have seen this pattern with individuals coming to me after the fact when they filed without an attorney, saying that their case was put on extended review even after they went to the interview. And it's for this reason, because there was not sufficient evidence for the officer to make a decision, confidently make a decision, and the cases have been put in review. So very important. That's my tip of the day. How long does USCIS take to respond to an I-130 RFE? So it could take a couple months. I have been here for over 8 years, work under the table. Can I say I work if asked by my local Tug 1981? I don't know what your situation is. That's where you get legal advice, because you don't want to go into an interview and make any errors. You don't want to apply for anything that could cause further consequences. But what you can do is, what I can tell you here is you cannot lie. Once you know that you have worked for 8 years and you've worked under the table, you must disclose this in whatever application they ask. Now, in some cases, when you're doing the adjustment of status in marriage-based interview based on your marriage to a U.S. citizen, or you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, that is not held against you. But it all depends, and that's where legal advice is very important. I am an E2 citizen. Oh, that's great. Give me a call, schedule a consultation if you really would like to pursue this. Good evening. I was scrolling online just to see when you'll be live. Oh, Roxanne, I'm glad that you caught me. Vermont processing of I-130 is backed up until 2018. Yeah, so it is backed up. Everything is backed up. Marriage-based interview. So with the marriage-based interview, Tug 1981, what that means is that you are applying for the green card based on marriage to a U.S. citizen. How often does an I-130 RFE get denied? It really depends. It's a case-by-case basis. It depends on what situation caused the denial in your case, if it's going to be denied. What I can say is very important to prepare a good response to the RFE. Do you you answer my questions? I would like a consult with you over the phone. That's great. Go ahead and schedule a consultation, Shaka Dexter. And if I'm answering your questions, then it is likely that I'll be able to help you and advise you further. So what you can do is schedule a consultation. Now, it's after hours, it's Sunday night, so the scheduling coordinators are not working. However, I do have after hours receptionists who are available 24/7. They will take your name, your information, and then a scheduling coordinator will get back to you tomorrow, which is the next business day. And yes, I do phone and video consultations. Georgia, thanks for sharing. What type of information should be on the invitation to the USA? Thank you. So while it is helpful to have an invitation from a relative or a friend, what's important here is to show that you have strong ties to your home country to be able to return to your country after a temporary visit. So the important thing is the evidence to show that you will return to Jamaica after a temporary visit to the US. So keep your questions coming. I know I saw a bunch of questions and then it came off of my screen. I don't know if that's because a lot of people have fallen off. But if you are watching and you had a question and I didn't get to it, go ahead and put your questions in the comments while I'm here, and I can go ahead and answer your questions. I try to be as thorough as I can with each person's questions, and sometimes that does cause a delay. But please go ahead, retype your questions so I can answer your questions. So I just want to tell you now, while I am waiting for your questions to come in, is that I am here every day. So if you have a question, if you don't feel like you want to ask your question tonight, but you'll have a question in the future, or you may have a question in the future, go ahead and follow me. As soon as I go live, you can hop on and ask your questions, because that is why I'm here. I'm here to answer your questions. What's the next step if they approve the I-130 RFE? It depends on what your process is. So if you're outside of the United States, if they approve your I-130, so usually that's indicated by an approval of the whole I-130 goes to the National Visa Center. That's now in charge of preparing your case for the interview. If it's in the United States, then the next step would likely be the interview at the local USCIS office. So keep those questions coming, and so far these have all been great questions. Now I want to give you a piece of information. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to the link in my bio, go to the website. If you click on the link in my bio, it's going to lead you to the website where you can learn about me, learn about the law firm, ST Law Office. You can fill out a contact form if you want us to get your contact information and schedule a consultation, or you can call, and after hours receptionist will be available to take your information. Now, I usually come with helpful information as well. And today I posted 2 videos about applying for the green card based on mistreatment by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse. But keep in mind, those don't have to be the only people who mistreat you for you to be able to get the green card. It could be, if you're under 25, a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident parent, or a U.S. citizen son or daughter who's 21 and up. Hi, good night. One of my friends have U.S. visa, visitor's visa, and someone reported her to the embassy. The embassy revoked her visa. What can she do now? So unfortunately, there is no way to be able to get the visa back. There may be ways to try to clarify the situation, but unfortunately, this is a more complex situation. We'd have to see what was reported and how to prove that those were false reports, and then possibly reapply for the visa. My U.S. citizen husband filed I-130 for his child under 21 on April 2020. Have not heard anything since. So just check on your case, make sure that everything is going good. Talk 1981, make sure that it is not something on your end that they want. They are in Liberia, what can we do? So you have to contact them, schedule, and make sure that everything is good on your end. Unfortunately, because I don't know your whole situation, circumstances, what was submitted in the application, I wouldn't be able to give you specific legal advice. But what you can do is check on your case, contact them directly. Lisa Persad, you are welcome. So keep those questions coming because I am here to answer your questions. How long it takes to sponsor your spouse? So it's taking right now between 18 and 24 months. And that's on average. Keep in mind, it could be less, could be more even. They received the RFE, just wondering how long it takes to review. So a couple of months. U.S. citizens, so Talk 1981, you are welcome. So keep your questions coming. That is why I'm here. I'm here to answer your immigration questions. So put your questions in the comments and I will go ahead and answer your questions. That is exactly why I'm here. And I want you to know. So I'm coming with some important information and I can bet that this is information that you are not aware of. That did you know that even if you got divorced from your U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, and you've been divorced for less than 2 years, you would still be able to apply for the green card if that ex-spouse subjected you to extreme cruelty, to mistreatment. So they verbally mistreated you, emotionally, they financially even. Then this could be a way for you to apply on your own and stay in the United States, even if you overstayed and you're out of status. My husband is a citizen. How long does it take to sponsor your spouse? So Lisa Persad is taking about 18 to 24 months, and that's the average time right now. So keep your questions coming. I am closing out the topic that I'm talking about. I just briefly touched on applying for the green card based on the mistreatment of your ex-spouse. What is the process to just move to the States and apply for permanent residence? Lollisty, it depends on how you qualify. You can qualify through family, you could qualify through an employer, you may qualify if you are a T, U, or a T or U visa or asylum, you were granted asylum. You're welcome, Lisa Persad. So what kind of evidence do you have to show about the mistreatment? No, you just have to show credible evidence. That means any believable evidence, and that could include your statement, that could include a psychological evaluation, that include text messages, transcripts of recordings you've taken, pictures. So it's not just limited to police reports, and police reports are not even required. Very important for you to know that as well. So you can apply for the green card based on mistreatment, even by an ex-spouse, if you have been divorced for less than 2 years. So that means that the clock is ticking. And you should make sure that that if you are in this situation, the first thing you do is get legal advice first. So that is it for me tonight, and I see that the questions have slowed, so I'm going to check out the Sunday night, but I am here every single day with very few exceptions, of course. So what you can do is follow me, and as soon as you see me go live, you can go ahead and put your questions in the comments and I will answer your questions. Can my friend take a lawyer to know who is the person who reported her to the embassy? So, there are ways to request records, and it may be revealed in the records. However, that might be sensitive information as well that the embassy reserves the right to hold on to. But this is certainly within her right to get an attorney to request records. Sexy Ann, you are welcome, and you enjoy your night as well. Thank you, Talk 1981. You enjoy your weekend and have a great week as well. I will see you tomorrow, everyone. If you'd like to schedule a consultation, why not get it out of the way this Sunday night while you're not working, while you have some free time? Call give us your name, your information, and then the scheduling coordinator will get back to you tomorrow to schedule a consultation. Also, follow me if you would like to continue to get updates on immigration law, how to fix your status, how to get the green card, because that is what I do. I am a U.S. immigration attorney. I help clients to get their green card and status in the United States. Spice Man 101, I'm very glad. That's exactly why I'm here. I'm here to be informative. So keep following me. As soon as you see me go live, hop on with me and ask that question. Have a good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.